Okay. Well, Mike, we're live-ish.
We are live.
Yeah. I wonder if the lunar. Oh, here we go. Mike's going to the jungle,
Oh, I
and
was looking around
actually,
to see what I don't want that. Uh,
yeah, here we
no,
go.
there we go. How about the Northern Lights? No, that didn't work either.
What do you
Hmm.
think about my Zoom background that moves around?
Oh man,
It's like,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
telescopes.
There
I
we go.
know, and it goes in 365 degrees. There's a
Wow,
lake in there with waves and a flag.
that's pretty wild.
The Zoom technology has come a long way. I mean, you do have to update Zoom upwards of 3 to 4 times a day
Eh,
to get these kind of features.
I'm
But,
late, I'm late to literally every Zoom meeting because it makes me update it every single time.
well, why don't you say we start the show on time and get going right now?
Hit it.
Welcome to hotlou Happy Hour, a brandless hotlou Happy Hour. And I'm your host, Louis Bromowski, or somewhat independently known as hotlou.
I'm recovering from a holiday week, Mike Franklin.
I am too. Like I feel like I can be of quite a slow talker occasionally, or at least I notice listening back to the show, there's like long pauses sometimes. But right now I'm feeling like I'm talking in extra slow motion.
It will do a week in sun and fun, or we in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, tend to just sort of devolve into mindless lake people for as long as we possibly can get away with it.
Yeah, before we started the show, I was musing that I've been kind of the MVP here because I've been basically in the water for about 2.5 days straight with every kid in sight that's been visiting out on the front lawn out here while the parents socially distant drink and watch this crazy podcast host uh, entertain their children in the water for hours on end.
I would have appreciated that. We had a bit of that ourselves. We were camping. So I think the third year in a row we've done this, camping with 5 families, and let me see, a total. I bring most of the children, of course, but let's see, there's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there were 13 children um,
Wow.
at this deal. And now we're on a campsite, so there's things to do, but less so this year. The pandemic kind of screwed up most of that. Ordinarily, we would have been in the pool basically all day, every day. But the way that it worked is they had to have sign-ups so they could keep the pool at capacity, and you were limited to an hour a day that you could then re-up if you tried. We tried to game the system a few different ways to get back in there because it was real hot. But for the most part, they kept it to their enforced capacity, and it made
Yeah.
it pleasant while you were there because in this pool it's been nuts in years past where if it's just free for all, you can
Yeah.
move in the pool.
Well, I'll have to say we've made many memories over the last couple of days, but maybe the one that's going to stick with me as it relates to podcast co-hosting was that one of the children whom I had never met before just walked up to me because, there's children swarming me. I'm just throwing them in the water, letting them hang out on their lily pad and do their thing or whatever. And one of the kids came up to me and was like, "What's your name?" And I said, "hotlou.com." And they're like, "That's not a name." And I said, "That's no way to talk to a world famous podcast host." And they're like, "You're not, you're not famous." And right at that very moment, a boat went by and screamed hotlou.com from the boat.
So you, kid.
Yeah, I taught that kid really well. And now that kid just keeps calling me hotlou.com. So the brand is alive and well in Cumberland, Wisconsin.
Was there good fireworks over there?
Thanks to both a GoFundMe that pressured the Chamber of Commerce of Cumberland into doing their fireworks, and it made it a little bit easier because most of the people who watch the fireworks in Cumberland watch it from the lake.
Yeah.
So there's a beaver dam lake that's very large. It's like 5 miles long, but only like a few hundred feet across. So everybody kind of gathers at one side of the lake on their pontoons or whatever. And I think the beach was closed, so there were people in their cars and things that were on the shore. Um, but we went also to a concert, Paisan, which is basically my friend's husband's band. They're very popular in town here. Um, and they normally do a beach concert, but the beach was closed. So they actually got a private resident to set up a stage, pointed the speakers at the lake, and I don't know, 200 boats showed up and went to a lake concert. It was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
Americana right there.
it was Americana.
It's not as American as say tearing down a statue. Statute. Well, that's Americana. Statue of Frederick Douglass to celebrate that all lives are mattering. But you may not have caught that one over the weekend.
I
A
didn't.
Frederick Douglass statue has now been demolished.
Well, we had joked around that we were like one or two hashtags away from Mount Rushmore from being torn down.
Oh, and
And then
now,
I saw that,
yeah, now
yeah,
it's certainly going to happen.
it feels like it, right? And what's going to happen with Crazy Horse on the back end of it?
I,
I
I
mean,
I shudder to mention.
yeah, who knows? I mean, wait till all of the horrific stuff comes out about Crazy Horse, right? But it's also hard to know. The Native American culture didn't have written history. So
They
that
were
was just
honest.
passed down from, yeah, maybe.
Very smart.
Yeah. Yeah. So there haven't been any statues torn down in Cumberland, Wisconsin, I'm aware of, but there was one boat just, I think, driving around all weekend at like full speed. Every time I saw it, it was at full speed. So the Trump 2020 flag was flying. And you,
It is interesting.
even,
This is it, I couldn't help but feel, and so we were on a campground in Waseca, Minnesota, with, gosh, I don't know, there maybe 100 campers full of people, maybe more. I didn't count them, but I mean, I guess it's probably more than that actually, maybe 150. And so, assuming full occupancy, which it sure seemed like it was fully occupied, you're talking 400 or 500 people in a fairly condensed space. I mean, you each have your own, kind of place to hang out, but for the most part, you're seeing a lot of other people fairly close up. And we were chatting one night, and I don't even know, I can't even remember the origin of the conversation, but I said, like, man, there's probably a lot of Democrats, a lot of Republicans around here, and then I paused and I was like, I'm going to go ahead and guess it's very highly concentrated Trump supporters in this space. And then I started to notice little signs, and it was like, let's see, you got an RV. There were people of color, but it was predominantly white people. It was I'd say a fairly healthy class mix between sort of blue collar, white collar. You can kind of tell, even people on vacation, you get a sense. But I don't know why that never occurred to me before. I guess it's my privilege. I guess I'm still new at trying to figure out how to own my own failings as a human being by dint of my birth. But it just occurred to me this is probably a very right leaning group.
yeah, I mean, you definitely get, I mean, they're the Freedom Group, right?
Yeah, which used to not be a function of the right. That used to be sort of
Yeah.
a universally held deal, but I guess we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was really funny because, I mean, being in rural Wisconsin, you'll see kind of the same deal. I mean, Wisconsin is about as red a state as you can get, I think, minus
Yet
two
they
cities, right?
well, sure, okay. I was going to say, yet they had I think the second longest streak of voting for Democratic presidents, second only to Minnesota, although they
Yeah.
voted for Trump.
Yep. So I think I think when we're up here in Cumberland, Wisconsin, like if I were, say, on Lake Minnetonka and somebody was doing that, I think there would be a lot of boos, or at least some like hand gestures
Oh, I
at
bet
the
there was
boat.
a lot of boos and hand gestures.
There weren't a ton that I saw, despite the fact that,
Oh,
like,
no, no,
even
no. I
even
didn't mean booze. I meant booze.
thank you for that. That yeah, I should have caught up with that, but slow on the uptake thanks to some booze of my own for sure. So we got one statue down. The Mount Rushmore is still standing, but Trump did speak at Mount Rushmore, right?
He did, and the media was predictably horrible about it. I my only consumption of news basically since coming back was I did listen to the Ben Shapiro show today while I was on my jog, and I did catch a little bit of the CNN coverage, which in the Chiron, underscoring their coverage of the speech, uh, uh, they referred to, actually this was not in the Chiron, they referred to it as, the reporter in the verbiage of the story referred to it as stolen Native American land, and referred to a speech in front of two slaveholders, a monument to two slaveholders. You know, that's how we do things now. That's the most trusted name in news.
Yeah.
But LA Times in the third paragraph refers to that the president this was a racist speech, employing racist rhetoric or dog whistles, which I guess if you're listening for that, you're going to hear it. I actually listened to the whole speech, not live, but after the controversy blew up that it was a dark speech, it was a racist speech. I guess this must be my white privilege because I didn't hear it.
Yeah, the only article that I saw on it, on the very limited amount that I've consumed, was something about the fact that Trump was trying to be more divisive than usual. And the quote that I saw was something about how he was attacking people on the left for tearing down statues,
Yeah, do that.
and how that it was really bad. And I couldn't help but think, I don't know why. I don't see that aspect of it at all. That didn't seem divisive. That doesn't seem like a divisive statement to me, that people who are just criminally tearing down other people's property is a point of contention. But
It
apparently
is.
that's where we are. Yeah.
It's a point of contention, and you've got there's U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth, who's was on one of the Sunday shows, open to the idea of having as part of the conversation tearing down statues celebrating George Washington. So here we are. I mean, this went from radical crazy people to mainstream possible VP nominees in like 12 seconds.
Wow. Well, and did you happen to see any of the show? I think you know what the topic of the show on Thursday was with the uh we're
I saw your
recording.
background that
Yeah.
the mayor of
Yep.
Oakdale, Alyssa Milano.
Yep. You need to put on something other than your bathing suit. Our fact checker is on the other side of the camera. She just
Oh,
came out of the lake, but she's only wearing her swimsuit. So if she wants to be on camera, she needs to go put on real clothes.
that's right.
Yeah.
We don't need that being out there.
Yeah.
Oh, fact check.
So, yep. Oh gosh, she really wants to peek, but we're not putting her on camera. Anyway, yeah. So on Thursday, when we were talking about Alyssa Milano being the mayor of Wokeville, and I think we're rebranding, by the way, from Wokedale to Wokeville.
Why?
Do you have just So the reason is because I noticed on one of the shows when I was saying Wokedale, which I'll remind the lunatics, the reason we picked Wokedale is because there's a suburb of the Twin Cities called Oakdale. So I thought it was really kind of a clever pun, but I keep finding myself saying Wokeville instead of Wokedale, and some of the lunatics are doing it too. So I feel like I'm succumbing to public pressure.
This
Is
is
that a bad
basically you
signal?
being, this is basically you being canceled. This is a dog whistle.
Yeah,
And I
it
assume a
could be.
racist one at that.
Yeah, we need to tear down all the mayor of Wokedale statues now. Well, they weren't statues, they were plaques.
Uh, well, they'll be easier to tear down then.
Yeah, that's true. But in any case, the Alyssa Milano thing, and then I talked about the Redskins thing a little bit too. Because I was thinking to myself, I don't think, not only have I never heard of anybody calling another Indian a Redskin in like a derogatory way, in like the form of a racial slur, I've never even seen that by anybody who's alive right now.
And I
I
don't
think there
know,
were,
the origin story of the Washington Redskins. I actually have for probably decades now thought it was a little odd that you'd have that name for your team, and then it would be of all places Washington D.C.
Yeah,
That just always struck me as strange, and I'm very open to the idea that we should rename the. I mean, it's not my decision; I don't own the team, but that
yeah,
Daniel Snyder should rename the team, and I, whatever. I mean, I'm fine with that. It's certainly happened before. One of their other major sports teams at one point was called the Washington Bullets, which was another very
yeah.
strange name for. I mean, I guess it is and it isn't. Like, I mean, there's nothing particularly offensive about a bullet, unless you assume that you sort of apply what bullets are used to do. But
Right.
you used to want to have your team sound fierce or maybe honor something like a chief. Oh, hello.
Hey, this is Jaden, our fact checker. Up until this point, the lunatics have only seen her in the form of a static image. Do you
Oh,
want to
there.
say hi? Say, no, say hi, lunatics. Yeah, see, you're never gonna make it as a podcast co-host, Jaden.
Your virtual
Sorry.
background just continues to impress me.
I know it's interactive. So the points that I want to make it about Alyssa Milano were basically that, it's hysterical that she's been selling Washington Redskins gear on her site, despite it being a super important thing that was near and dear to her heart.
Just,
But at the
just
same
like
time,
tearing down the Columbus statue was to for example, our lieutenant governor, who, as far as I
yeah,
can tell, had never spoken about it and did not use her position as chair of the Capitol Architectural Board to
yeah,
uh, remove the statue through the probably way that we could have had we continue to be told we need to have a conversation about these things, but yet we never really have the conversation. We sort of have a screaming match back and forth, which I
yeah,
guess is maybe what we should be doing.
yeah. Well, Alyssa, she got the mayor of Wokeville. I don't even know what to do. A president of the Wokeverse, who knows? Something like that. And we, oh gosh, here we go. Um, oh, you want to hear too? Let's do this. We'll switch over to a different microphone so you can kind of hear too. That might work. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now Jaden can hear.
I
So,
love the ice cream shirt. I mean, that is just. And is there roller skates on there too? This is a great summer in northern Wisconsin shirt.
yeah,
Oh, can't hear you, Lou.
because you have to use, I didn't switch this. Now we have to do this, a hybrid version.
Oh,
Let's go back because you can hear me now, right?
yep, gotcha now.
Yeah. The point that I wanted to make was that even if you agree or disagree with the Redskins at this point, the name is changing, period.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like,
Once this
it's
process,
inevitable. Yeah, it's inevitable. It's gonna follow the money. But we've got a whole room filled with lunatics now, so I feel like this is a really good opportunity to end the show. And they're lunatics of both kinds, as a matter of fact. Actually, the newest lunatic right there. Hey, Catherine. She's the one that calls me hotlou.com. Anyway, this is a good time to end because we've got lunatics all over the place, and who knows what could happen next on the show. So,
well, I'm
thanks,
very
everybody.
happy we got to check in. I'm very happy that you and your folks are celebrating the 4th in style and the way that we all should be, and hopefully everybody was able to do a little bit of that over the weekend or maybe even this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I've come to learn over the last 3 days is we really live in the greatest country on earth to complain about how terrible it is.
It's amazing. It is remarkable, and that is the takeaway. There things to improve, you bet. But other than Wokeville, let me know what country that you prefer. Let me know where we should be.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if America isn't good enough for you. Let us know which ones are. We'd love to hear and evaluate them
And
one by
don't give
one.
me that Canada BS. Canada is to the United States what Oakdale is to Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's just
I love it. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to another Hot Lou Happy Hour. I'm your host, Hot Lou.
I am Wokeville City Council member Mike Franklin.
We'll talk to you on Lou's Day.